All right, well, welcome everybody. We appreciate you joining us today for our second lunch and listen. We've got a full house today and we've got a lot on the agenda, so we're going to get started pretty quickly. We will have time at the end today for Q&A, questions and answers. We've got some great stuff lined up for you guys. We've got some videos of manufacturing facilities at 3 different high schools. We've got Rob here from IMEC. He's got a lot of information for you on how to get past where you are today and build your workforce and your companies for tomorrow. So with that, you don't need to hear from me anymore, but I would like to introduce my board who is here today. So in case you're not familiar with our board, kind of done a little switching, but we have Paul Remington who's here today. He's going to speak after me. He's our chairman. He is with W. Wade Die Masters. We have Kevin Clay as my vice chair. And if you can go ahead and do a little wave when I call your name. So Kevin and Paul and I work very closely together on a daily basis. They're great help with GCAMP. We have Chris Kaiser, who's our treasurer. He was not able to make it today, unfortunately. We have Nancy A., who's our secretary, and she is our great education liaison with everyone, everywhere. Just kidding. But she has been a tremendous help as well. They're all a tremendous help. Tracy Tinkle, who is a director, and he is HR director for Kuriyama in Schaumburg. Give a wave, Tracy. And then Carl Anfinson, who is a director and works with TCF Bank, but also the D214 Education Foundation. So he's pretty abreast at everything that we're doing as well. So if you have a chance, reach out to one of us. Of course, that's me up in the corner, but you already know me. So I'm always available if you need any help with your workforce needs. Remember, we're nonprofit, so we're there to help you. That's what we're here for. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Paul for a little bit.
What brings us all together today is really a very basic question. And that is, how do we grow our companies without skilled workers?
Oh.
And Kevin should show a chart here in a minute. This is somewhat dated, but I think you can see very quickly what we're dealing with in terms of facts. So as you see here, people like me are a growing number of the population, of the demographics. That tells us that, as we know, that many of our skilled workers, tool and die makers, CNC operators, are retiring. So that's putting pressure on us finding skilled workers. We're seeing a net change down for those that are under 20, which is putting more pressure on finding skilled workers. And then the 20 to 64-year-olds, the same thing is happening. So what we're finding is that as companies move into our area, and as we are trying to find workers, we're all chasing after a smaller and smaller work pool. So we need to grow our workforce, and GCAMP's mission is to find sustainable workforce for the Golden Corridor. Now, what I'd like to do is, first of all, update you on several things related to GCAMP. We have a new group of board members, a new chair, it's me, a new vice chair in Kevin, new treasurer in Chris. We'd like to welcome 2 new sponsors, CMS Electric in Schaumburg and TSSI, which is a national agency with offices all over the place. So welcome to them. Second of all, we're making a concentrated effort on updating our website. We're also working on a more periodic newsletter and blogs. And if you will notice lately, you're getting things being shared through LinkedIn and other social media on that order. So we have 2 resources I like to point out for you all to be aware of. For educators and companies, we have a new resource. It's called the Quote to Production series, which was done with a combination of Acme Industrial in Elk Grove Village, and District 214, and we're represented, I think, by several people from 214, particularly Rolling Meadow High School. And this series takes a view of how to go from quote to actual production in a CNC manufacturing environment. And this could be used for new hires and companies, and is available for really anybody that wants to use it throughout the United States by accessing our website, www.gcamp.org. And then in addition, with the impending summer and fall, we want you to start looking for job, posting your openings on our job board on the website. But why are we here? Well, one of the reasons obviously is to support workforces. And so we've established a workforce committee. I think we would be very much interested in anybody that's listening or anybody you know that would join this committee. It's for both manufacturers and educators to bring us together to work on a common goal of promoting manufacturing career paths to students and parents. And what we'd like to have this group do is to do concentrate on two things: develop work-based learning projects, which quote to production was, and create processes and other resources for hiring students, interns, and apprentices. We're launching this on May 13th for our first meeting. Approximately, we're planning to have the group meet every other month and report to the board and to school organizations as to what we can accomplish as far as a workforce committee. If you're interested in doing that, merely contact Kathleen Burley at gcamp.org. Why do we do this? The primary reason is to allow you. It also has ancillary benefits. It helps municipalities. It helps other companies that are moving into the area. It helps our educators. All in all, it's a win situation for all stakeholders, concentrating on hiring interns, putting young people into our companies, both during the summer and starting in the fall. I turn it over to you, Kevin. Kevin's going to cover education updates.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name's Kevin Clay. Hey, I just want to go over a couple of things, but before I get started, I actually want to have Nancy talk about a couple of things that we have on our agenda here for working with students, with the importance of doing that and the importance of internships and apprenticeships. So she's got a short presentation, and we actually have a couple of nice videos that I'll queue up here while she's getting ready to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nancy here. She's from Nexus, and she's got some great information for us today.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy of JCheck, and I'm the Executive Director of Nexus, Council for Student Success. We are the regional partnership between Districts 211, 214, 220, and Harper College. In my role, in addition to convening the partners for all region-wide work that we do, I act as the Education for Employment Director, where I oversee all of the career and technical education grant funding at the secondary level that makes this work possible. Additionally, I'm the Secretary on the GCAMP board, where I represent education. The information I'm about to provide on work-based learning comes directly from the National Center for College and Career Transitions, or NC3T, as I will refer to it. This is a group dedicated to the work we do around pathways across the country. We often think about how schools, programs, and students benefit from participating in work-based learning experiences. While these benefits are real, amazing, and very appreciated, what we don't talk about as often are the benefits to the employers who partner with schools to provide these opportunities. So I would like to take a few moments to share how your company can benefit from these partnerships. Let's start with customer impact, or doing well by doing good. Working with schools is viewed positively by the community and reflects on that business in a positive light. According to NC3T, customers indicate that corporate citizenship plays a role in their purchasing decisions. They also report 75% of Americans say a company's commitment to social issues is a factor whether they recommend a company to others. Customers will also report a willingness to pay more for a product produced by a company that has strong social reputations. For example, Tom's Shoes, Lego, and I'm sure you can think of many more. Human resource impact, or benefiting the employees you already have. Studies have shown that employees who work with students report higher job satisfaction. This in turn creates loyalty and reduces turnover. The social reputation of a company also has a positive effect on attracting future employees, as well as creating opportunities to hire students who are being trained on site. In this respect, internships can act as a working job interviews for potential new employees. Operations. NC3T reports a direct correlation between social and financial performance. Having a strong social program helps to increase the bottom line. Companies who give back to the community often report more positive relationships with regulators. In my previous life, I owned a large childcare center for 25 years, and I always took in student interns from District 211 and the local career center. While this required additional paperwork and engagement with the Department of Human Services, it strengthened my relationship with my rep because she would go out of her way to help me provide experiences for the next generation of caregivers. I can't definitively say it helped me with my state compliance visit, but it did help me create a more collaborative approach to the oversight by the state. Individual outcomes. Individual employees who work with students benefit personally from the experience. Many of these opportunities can be added to a resume, like participating in advisory council, acting as a mentor, which demonstrates leadership abilities possibly not available in their current role. When organizations partner with schools, there are networking opportunities. In a typical year, events such as these, as well as advisory meetings, are held in person where people who might not usually have occasion to meet others within their industry have the chance to interact and make connections.
I'm going to stop there so that Kevin can share some videos, and then we will talk some more.
Thanks. Great. Well, we got a great video here that Mark Hibner did. Mark, I know you're narrating it, but if you want to unmute and say anything during the video, I'm just going to go ahead and play it and show it. And it kind of speaks for itself. It's an awesome video.
And Mark Hibner is District 211. He is at Palatine High School. Are we showing the Fremd first?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be showing Fremd High School. So Paul Hardy, maybe you want to unmute?
Oh,
You can say
sorry.
a few things if you'd like. Okay.
So just kind of the highlights of the end of that. We currently, if we need to have parts made for the competitions we have, we currently have to use other high schools, facilities and machinery to do that. We're looking to change that so that our kids can make the parts instead of having some other school students make those parts. So we're going to be looking to do some sort of information from the community, what the community needs so that we can access those needs here at the school. That'll be one of the next steps that we're looking at. And then having some input on how to take our current facilities and maximize the potential for moving into a manufacturing program here, like a true manufacturing program here at Fremd. So we've got the kids, we've got, just like all the other schools, we've got dynamite kids here that are willing to work and willing to do the things that are needed and want the jobs. So, you know, we'll be looking for a little bit of help in the very near future.
Great. All right, let's go back to Nancy, and she can. I think she has one more slide or a couple slides, and then I'll come back to Mark Hibner and have him show.
So wherever you're at with being ready to engage, lots of opportunities. Wherever you're ready to jump in,
As you can see on this slide, getting involved with schools doesn't have to be very time consuming. For example, being a member of an advisory board, generally these meet twice a year. Hosting a career trek or field trip or job shadowing can be a one-day commitment. In our region, we have a variety of internship and apprenticeship programs that can fit your commitment level. Maybe start small and figure out what the best fit for your organization is. After this event, we will be sharing a survey. If you have an interest in exploring any of these opportunities, we can have somebody contact you. If you need time to think about it, you can always reach out to Kathleen or I, and we can connect you to the appropriate people. Our contact information is below, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right, so I think we have another quick video here from Elk Grove.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, welcome to Elk Grove's new manufacturing area. We're excited to talk about it, show it to you.
This is John Piper.
Yep, John Piper, Elk Grove High School.
Excellent. Okay, John, thanks. This is their new Haas machine. .3D printers. Again, this fall.
So this is actually the first school year we've done our internship program. Currently we have 5 students placed at 3 different companies where they come to school for a half day and take their required courses in the afternoon, or in the morning they actually go to one of our partner companies and are actually doing some on-the-job training, getting real hands-on, real-world experience. These students are students that have shown interest in going right into manufacturing right after high school. So we're trying to get them foot in the door and a little bit more real-world experience instead of just being in the school for the whole day.
So let's say you want to use the big gun. Switch over here to SMAW. You click here for what setting you want, DC positive, DC negative, AC.
So it's a simulator.
It's a simulator.
What's that?
We're building our robot for this year for the competition.
We're building a robot for the Robot Rumble this year.
Yep.
So the rules changed a little bit, so we had to make it so like it could go on the road instead of like in the cage.
So your name is?
Alex.
And yours?
Arian?
Okay. And what year are you guys?
Seniors.
Seniors? Okay. So what got you interested in all this?
We've both been doing robotics club since.
What grade are you in?
I believe I've been saying
Junior. So what got you started in the manufacturing, or what class are you taking?
well, it started off with me being in woodworking, and then I got into this.
Okay. So you first started in the wood shop, and then you went to what course are you taking now?
Well, it was mentioning that it's advanced CNC, I think, right now.
You're advanced CNC.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. What got you interested in it?
I just like doing stuff like computer and like designing things, like being able to just make it.
What you told me there's things you can choose, or how does that work? Okay. And what grade are you in?
My name is Pedro, and I'm a senior here at Elk Grove.
What courses have you taken so far, and what got you interested into manufacturing?
I took advanced machining and advanced CNC this year.
You took both this year?
No, last year I did advanced machining.
Advanced machining last year, and this year CNC.
Yes.
So what got you interested into it?
I've always wanted to like work with manufacturing.
Okay.
That's all, like, building things, metals, molding, things like that.
So have you taken any welding instruction, stuff like that?
I did last year. Yeah.
Last year you took a little bit of welding?
Yeah.
So you said you want to go into engineering after?
Yeah,
So what type of engineering?
mechanical.
Mechanical? Okay. So right now you guys are doing what type of project again?
We had a project on the manual ways, and then we were working on the mills before.
Okay. So what are you guys making? Or just small little projects?
It's a small project.
There you
Okay,
go.
great. Hi, guys. Great. Well, we got a couple more videos. Mentioned something that, one of the big concerns that we've seen over the last 10 years is for as long as I've been trying to set up internships and apprenticeship, even with the company that I work with, is that insurance is always a concern about insurance. And some insurance companies cover it, workman's comp, but when you start to look at high school students or somebody under the age of 18, it can be challenging for your current insurance company. But we now found a system that works. It's through Staffing Solutions. They can do quite a few things for us. They can actually handle that. They can handle the workman's comp side of it, the unemployment insurance. They can even handle the payroll function side of it too, if you'd like. The other thing that they can do is some virtual training for our safety. But the big thing is that they can cover students under 18 years of age. So if you're looking for some more information on that, please reach out to us, get a hold of Kathleen, and we can get you linked up to the right people to make that happen on your side. So, okay. I think what I'd like to do next is Mark Hibner still on here. Yep. You want to show your the career cluster? Can you show that one from your side?
Sure thing, ladies and gentlemen. We got a video just overviewing our District 211 manufacturing program. That's a full manufacturing program that's implemented both at Palatine High School and Schaumburg High School. That's really at the north end of our school district and at the south end. And as Paul Hardy had mentioned at Fremd, we're looking to expand the manufacturing, equipment, tooling, and everything experience at the other 211 schools. So we're in conversations with that at Fremd, Conant, as well as Hoffman Estates. So here, we'll go ahead and show the video of some students just working in the shop. Hello and welcome to this overview of School District 211's Advanced Manufacturing Technology Program. The purpose of the program is to give students the opportunity to develop the skills and knowledge to be successful in careers in manufacturing and engineering, to close the skills gap in our workforce, and to build relationships with Harper College, professional organizations, and industry to ensure program success. We focus on the fundamentals. Here's an example of a student to burn a part, getting prepared for the manual mill. Here's an example of a student that just completed the layout of a part, and they used a prick punch and now a center punch to prepare the material for the drill press. Here's an example of a student using the drill press to complete a counter bore hole project. Here we have an example of a student machining a slot on the mill. Here we see another student using the mill to machine a profile on a part. Here's an example of a student working on our engine lathes, turning a part. Here we have a student operating a Haas CNC mill. To complete this project, he created a 3D model, then simulated all the machining operations in the CAM software. He post-processed the program, proved out his part at the machine, and is now running the final program to machine the part. Our partnership with GCAMP has been fantastic. For instance, these are examples of GCAMP helping us with implementing the 5S program. So each one of our machine stations has one of these toolboxes where we have hand tools, measurement tools, layout tools, as well as machine setup. Our program has established a partnership with Harper College where students that take our classes at Palatine High School and Schaumburg High School can obtain up to 19 hours of college dual credit. Currently, Palatine High School and Schaumburg High School are the two schools in our district that have this full manufacturing program. We are in the process of discussing ways to expand manufacturing to Conant, Fremd, as well as Hoffman Estates High School. A huge thank you to GCAMP as well as all the other professional organizations and companies that connect our students to internships, apprenticeships, as well as job opportunities.
Great. Thank you, Mark. That was an awesome video. If we have time, we have one more with a couple of student interviews, which I think would be interesting to see, and we're going to save that for the later on here. So, but I'd like to move forward. We have a special guest here. We have Rob Newbold from IMEC. He's got some great things to talk about with what resources they can offer, made in Illinois. So I'll turn it over to you, Rob. Do you want me to show the presentation? I have your second version. So give me just a moment and that should share.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. And thanks for the opportunity to be here, everyone. What exciting news to see this happening at the high school level and even into the elementary school. So thank you for giving us a chance to share a little bit about what we do and how we can collaborate with you as well. So kind of a big topic here that I want to cover is this idea of how we've come through this pandemic, and so we've set a high standard for my short discussion today, and at IMEC we do that a lot for ourselves and our clients. And so let me just share a little bit with you for about what IMEC is, if you'll go to the next slide there, Kevin. So IMEC is an organization who's been serving the manufacturing community in Illinois exclusively for 25 years. We draw upon the experience and ingenuity of more than 50 specialists in all areas of manufacturing and business for one clear purpose, and that's to help ignite manufacturing excellence and global competitiveness. Through our partnership with the National MEP Network and economic and workforce organizations across the state, as well as 4 universities directly in Illinois, our team is your go-to resource for manufacturing. In the next slide, you'll see we use a validated leading edge model of what business needs to be successful. And we break down the urgent priorities and understand how changes integrated into one part of an or other parts of your business. So IMEC's process is really to work with you to understand what's driving your business, assess what inputs to create a practical plan for growth. It's as simple, really, as plan, implement, and we want to know how the work we accomplish together impacts your company over the long haul. So once a year, we ask for our clients' input on what measurable results they've received. And if you look at the next slide, the results are really pretty impressive. So in 2020, you can see we served over 1,100 manufacturers across the state with those 50 people. And I think one of the most exciting things is that bottom right number that shows almost $650 million in economic impact directly to the Illinois economy. 6,000 jobs either created or saved. And typically our clients show about a 19-to-1 return on investment. Now, we are a public-private partnership. We receive some federal reimbursement money, but we are a nonprofit built on focusing to educate and teach manufacturers on how they can get better. And so that's really what I wanted to share a little bit about today. And so let's just dive into that next set of the presentation. So what I really want to talk about today is around 4 different areas. We worked with thousands of manufacturers through good times and through challenges, and especially in the last few years with that 1-2 punch of the Great Recession and now a pandemic. And so I'll cover 4 broad topics here based on research we've completed, and some of it right here in Cook County, but that resonates really across the state and the state of manufacturing. So what we know is that to emerge stronger, there are some key next steps that great companies are going to focus on to set themselves apart in terms of attracting and retaining talent, building a strong supply chain, improving cash flow and productivity, and really just becoming globally competitive. And it is a global world that's anticipated to grow its consumption to nearly $62 trillion by 2025. What's intriguing about that is it's doubled. That goal is doubled from the consumption levels of just 2013. And most of that growth is actually going to occur in the emerging world and often through digital purchases. So that sets up a lot of different things for Illinois manufacturers as well as US manufacturers for opportunities to reach the world. And none of these successes can be achieved without first focusing on people, performance, and mindset, all of which we're going to cover in these topics today. So Kevin, if we go to that next slide. During the pandemic, we actually took the bold step and we wanted to get to know the voice of the manufacturers even more. And so we outreached to the county with the 2nd largest collection of manufacturers in the country, that is Cook County, suburban Cook County, to understand what they needed in 10 key categories of their businesses. We asked them to rate what was urgent to do now, a priority in 3 to 6 months, and even important in the next year or even further out. And so out of 5,000 plus manufacturing companies in suburban Cook County, we had over 1,000 that responded to our phone survey. Then, working with Cook County government, we actually created this in-depth report of the results of the survey, a copy of which you can get for free right here from this link, and I'm sure Kathleen will send this out to everyone later. And we received this quantitative data that I'll share in a moment, right? So the numbers in a moment. I really like these qualitative statements, though, and many more like this that we received directly from manufacturers about what their insights are and how they're recovering or what they had to deal with over the last 12 months. And these 2 examples are key statements of a couple of the points I'll make around the quantitative data here in a moment. Really intriguing about remote work and about needing quality services. So on the next slide, it's a bit of an eye chart, I'll admit that. But as I review this, I really want you to point out, and I'm going to point out 3 different key data points. Now, we anticipated as we went into this survey approach that issues would probably sort out by some combination of things. And what we anticipated was that it would be by industry or geography, maybe by supply chain or product category. What we didn't think about was that the greatest factor of urgent differentiation between manufacturers is by size. And so as you can see here, for small manufacturers, 1 to 19 employees, which really across the state of Illinois make up about 80% of the manufacturing firms, finding new markets and growing their organizations is of primary concern. They need that influx of new cash coming in. And it is the largest gap there between the 50 and the 38 that you can see in that first column. Second data point I want you to look at are the companies with 50 to 99 employees. And almost similarly in that gap, they have a great urgent need to find, train, and retain employees, almost as much as the small companies have for growth. So you're well positioned with the things that you guys are doing as an organization to help those companies find employees. Third, and a really interesting discovery, I think especially for this group, is the low interest in finding the right technology. That's number 10 on this list. Now, we don't know what causes this, why that number is so low, but we can only guess that one factor might have been an impact of the other uncertainties surrounding the pandemic, which might have limited decisions on capital investment. But as you learn in this report, other factors of shifting demographics, generational change, and technology may also be at play. I won't give away all the secrets of that report. So then on the next slide, Kevin, what we learned was that the greatest differentiator of needs of manufacturing was not by that industry, geography, or even length of being in business. It was truly about the size of the company. I said earlier, small firms make up about 80% of Illinois, make up about 69% of the firms in suburban county. Those are under 20 people. And the clear priority for them, as I said, is to create growth opportunities. And so as we looked at the results, we realized there is a hierarchy of needs. And for our teaching friends, you'll recognize that Maslow concept, that we have to think differently about how we're addressing the needs of manufacturers across a broader range of sizes. And from this thinking, we really created this hierarchy that you can see on the screen. As we're looking at recovery, it's important to note that policy approaches, the things that our legislators and city councils and other county governments do must be segmented to address the size of a manufacturing company and not view small manufacturers as just little versions of large manufacturers. There's much broader differences. Often small manufacturing companies struggle to implement new technology, market their products and services, and they rely on steady customers rather than outreaching to new ones. When they need to invest, it's harder for them to scrape together capital. So we really must focus all of our attention on that hierarchy of needs of firms to help them where their needs are most urgent. So as we shift beyond what we've learned in this survey and a lot of other things, I'd like to share some additional thoughts on what it will take for firms to be ready to tackle the urgent needs identified here and even as we go into the post-pandemic future. So on the next slide, I really want to talk just a moment about culture. As a leader, as a leader of any organization, you know that it is your role to lead that organization to high performance within the key processes and systems and expectations you set with your team. But of all the things you manage, one that rises to the top has to be your culture, company culture. And the way that you do that it's often the most difficult and hardest to measure. So as we approach almost 5 generation in some workforces, recognizing each generation as a distinct culture themselves, who has slightly different expectations of work and of success and of interaction and relationship building is critical. Ignoring the development of a culture in your organization is still a culture creating system. Right? You make a decision by not making a decision. And so high performing organizations and leaders recognize that they must create the culture for learning, adaptability, resiliency to occur, and that this is the heart of the roadmap as we get into the future. We want to use what's been learned in this time frame, how companies have adapted and what you've recovered from as the foundations for long-term success. And remind people of the purpose of your company, who your products impact, and how and why you're in business anyway. That helps form that buy-in that people need to feel like they're a part of a bigger purpose. Many of you are seeing an increase in orders and must continue to hire as you grow. And these new people need to be imbued with that same passion for your work that you have. And it is up to leaders to make sure that you're doing that and keeping that culture strong. If you're wondering how employees are valuing your culture or what they see, we'll have a brief offer at the end that you might take advantage of for an employee engagement survey. So then on the next slide, leadership is one aspect, but then we also have to think about the people that you're leading. And so as you're focusing on culture, addressing how people see themselves fitting into your organization for the long term is really valuable. Potential employees have more information about your company and the options for choosing your company against others than ever before. And so if they don't see a path to growth that matches their personal goals, they will walk. And we've seen that portability of employment is easier than ever as social media and constantly emerging new business models grab attention away from the work that you do in your shop. So therefore, we must know, and you must know, how your work environment contributes to moving new people and long-term staff along that journey from pre-employment all the way through career planning, training and retention to post-employment. And so we work with companies to develop their focus on diversity, inclusion, onboarding, succession planning, so that getting an employee in the door is not the only goal. Keeping and growing that employee as a valuable member of your team is for the long term. So as we go to the next slide, we're shifting to an environment where our ability to be more productive is really dependent on the access, capacity, and freedom to be self-directed learners. How many of you, just as we were using YouTube here, have used YouTube to learn something new? Well, that same model has to be something that we build into our future learning cycles as available to our teams within manufacturing as well. Providing a structure to learning invites people to learn situationally, just as we saw students learning that manual mill before they went to the CNC, apply what they learn on the job and dramatically improve their capacity to produce and innovate. Our old models of learning are to take people off the floor into classrooms. New models allow virtual instructors to interact real time from anywhere in the world. And our teacher friends have been doing this daily as over the last year, and the generation who are students now are going to expect those multiple options for learning in the future. But where learning really takes root, however, is in your leadership's ability to be mentors, to help the learners put the knowledge they have acquired into action appropriately, to capture that bootstrap knowledge embedded in the experienced operators and turn it into usable, easily accessible curriculum that drives continuous improvement with solid coaching. This is one of the greatest tasks I believe that you can undertake today in your facilities. And so as we move to that next slide, Kevin, we want to come out of this pandemic with new workers. But we also know that they're not going to have the basic skills necessary to really thrive in a manufacturing environment. So you become the facilitators of that work-based relevant training. If you're relying on the old go ask Joe method of installing good work habits and consistent equipment or training processes, that is probably not going to work, and it's time to update your plans. Results are best achieved when your approach to bringing in new people integrates them into your culture, into the team on which they work, and gives them space to fail safely. As an example, one company we worked with creates pods of training in a manufacturing cell. All the new employees work with one experienced operator to learn the work at a pace and in a space which is off the main production line, but mimics that setup. Through this controlled environment, new employees acquire the skill sets they need at each of the cell positions over a 2-week period. They're observed, coached, and shown the nuances of each position while hitting gradually escalating production expectations until they reach those daily production goals. Along the way, this pod of new employees grows their relationships and trusts in each other, so that when they shift to the full production line, they're cross-trained, confident, and ready to achieve production and quality goals easily. We have many examples like this and are willing to share more with you as you work to ensure your culture and learning systems so that they appeal and support that retention of people that you hire. So as another example on the next slide, in 2019, IMEC embarked on learning how we might play a role in closing that skills gap as well. We kind of dipped our toe into the water of apprenticeships and are still very much in a learning phase. The apprenticeships programs that I'm discussing today are really for current or new employees post high school. So not internships, on apprenticeships. And to date, we've been working with the Chicago Federation of Labor who manages a Department of Labor approved industrial manufacturing technician apprenticeship program. But I know there's many, I see our friends from ICAT on here as well. Use an apprenticeship program, whichever one you see fits best with your organization. But since summer, we've helped over 20 companies register their programs with DOL, and I'll go to some of the benefits of that in a moment. The key types of positions we've gotten registered generally have been in the ones here shown on the screen, but we're also exploring using the program for food manufacturers, plastic manufacturers, and even lead supervisors. You can see the structure of the curriculum with the 3,000 hours over 18 months, both classroom and on-the-job training. What you don't see is the detailed skill acquisition expectations in the realms of lean manufacturing, quality systems, gauge and blueprint reading, safety, leadership, communication skills, problem solving, and technical skills such as heat treating or AWS level testing for welders. Now, I note that the results are TBD, and that's because we've not yet completed a full 18-month program with a company yet. However, some of the feedback we've received is that employers are seeing greater retention beyond the first 3 months, learners engaged and growing their skills quickly, and training is benefiting the companies because they now have a structured approach to ensuring that training is occurring and skills are tested and observed. On the next slide, I mentioned that there were benefits in a competitive marketplace for employees. Having a program that will both pay and teach the employees is a huge example of that learning culture that we talked about earlier and how important that is. Metrics that are important to manufacturers especially are impacted, right? Retention numbers at 91%. That's a pretty significant piece. A side benefit is that once registered, grant funds through your local WIOA programs for incumbent workers are automatically eligible, meaning that you can get reimbursed from 50 to 90% of the cost of training, depending on your size, and additional staff beyond the apprentices can be in that training. So finally, because profitability is always a concern, you can see a sample return on investment the Department of Labor has showed for some apprenticeship programs. So I think I'm on my last slide now. If you'll go to the next one here, Kevin. I know I've given you a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share a few of the fully funded options that align with what I've presented today. If you're looking to add advanced manufacturing technology into your company, we have an assessment program that will help you look at your strategy and you can take advantage of that. If your company wants to consider learning from virtual instructors, we've got a team ready to provide key programs in safety and continuous improvement, maintenance basics, even strategy and leadership. And we can work with you to develop customized training programs as well. Finally, people make a culture. If you're not sure what your culture is, maybe just a quick pulse survey of your employee engagement will give you some insights. And finally, if you've got interest in apprenticeships, give me a call, work with our partners, and we'll get our team right to work on working with you on a number of options. So I really want to thank you today, and I think Kathleen shared my email address. I'm happy to take any questions. And you'll hear
Rob,
me out on the outside, so I apologize for that as well.
Rob, there was one question in the chat box, and it was talking about culture. Let me find it in here. It's how do you encourage leaders to be mentors and coaches within the company?
Personally, I think that's one of our biggest roles, right? As a servant leader, we look at being a leader to those who we serve. And so I believe that coaching is a natural progression from that. So if you're not reaching out to those that you work with and understanding what their needs are, or helping them develop the skills that you want them to have so that they can take over your role, I think we're not doing our job fully as a leader.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody else have any questions for Rob? That was a great presentation. Appreciate it. The culture is so key. You're right. And apprenticeships are where people are going. So, you know, there's a lot of different, we have many different partners for apprenticeships that we work with. We work with ICAT, there's Harper College, there's TMA, and the thing to remember, hi Kathy, the thing you got to remember is that we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to get you guys to the same place. So, well, let's open it up to questions overall from today. Do we have some questions from the audience for any of, we've got our teachers here, Mark Hibner is here, Rob is still here from IMEC. Do we have any questions from anybody out there? You can unmute yourself now.
Well, I know that we're going to send out a survey after this, and there'll be an opportunity at that point to request some specific information. So hopefully you'll get that survey as an email, and you can just fill it out. It'll be an online quick, probably take you 3 minutes to do it, maybe less than that. But in there, you can ask for additional information on any of the presentations today.
So, you know, we have a variety of different people on here today. We have educators, lots of educators. We've got a lot of manufacturers, industry people in here. Anybody have any questions? Anybody, any comments?
Hi, this is Christy from State Rep Mussman's office. Sorry, there we go. I have a quick question. How do we, I would imagine, like when I looked at the pictures of the school and the students and the amazing work that's being done, that a lot of those kids end up being college bound. How do we steer the kids that maybe aren't going to be college bound, don't have the financial capacity to be college bound, and troubled kids? Like, how do we steer them into those programs at the schools? Because I feel like, you know, giving them opportunity, they probably feel a sense of stability and a job right after high school, right? And I think that it could be a benefit towards the manufacturers as well.
Thanks, Christy. A lot of times, one of the things that we've been working on with GCAMP is, you know, starting to bring manufacturing into the classroom earlier. And you know, we've talked to kids. Parents have talked to kids their whole lives about college, but how long have we talked to them about apprenticeships or manufacturing? And manufacturing, a lot of the key to this is going to be what we do when we try to incorporate parents. You have to get parents behind this. And they've come a long way from where they were, but manufacturing is still sometimes seen as dirty and dingy and all that. And sometimes it can be, you know, but that doesn't mean it's not a good thing. But there's a lot of tech. So, you know, I won't go into Industry 4.0, but with robotics and automation, this is the slowest technology, as Kevin always says, this is the slowest technology will ever be. It just keeps going. And getting students to realize at an earlier age that manufacturing is a part of that technology makes it a gradual, easier easier thing. Now, as far as students not going to college, manufacturing, just because you graduate out of a program doesn't mean that the education stops there. We have to start thinking that college is not the only educational avenue. However, college doesn't always mean 4 years. We have such a strong 2-year community college system in our area in the state that they're all ramped up and ready to take these kids and train them. So they work with the high schools. There's dual credit. So a lot of these high school students who are working in manufacturing will graduate with up to 20 or so college credits in some cases. So they're hitting the ground running. So we're starting earlier. High schools are starting earlier. There are many avenues into manufacturing: 2-year college, 4-year college, training programs, apprenticeships. It's getting everybody on the same page and understanding.
Can I add something to that, please?
Sure.
I think the question, if I understand the question correctly, was how do we get students into these programs? How do we get students to take these programs?
Right.
One of the challenges that we have, and this is something that I foresee coming down the line that's going to make it increasingly challenging for schools, is there is a new foreign language requirement. It's a graduation requirement. So students really don't have, in some ways, all the choices that we would like them to have with their schedules. So they're locked in on what they have to take. And so by having to take certain classes, the cost, right? The cost of that is what they are not taking. And in some cases, the cost then is some of these programs. And so, and that's legislated. So sometimes our hands are tied. I mean, if there's something,
yeah, no, I get that. I wonder if that's something that needs to be addressed with ISB. Like, hey, if a student is in this program, can it be in exchange for the language program? So, that's the kind of thing like that, that's why I come to these kinds of things, right?
Yes, no, and I would argue the language of the 21st century is Java. It's programming languages, where we have to be able to communicate to a machine. That too is a foreign language that students are going to miss if they're required to take other courses. So what assistance could we get from a school perspective? Absolutely would be the industry advocating on behalf of schools that these programs are valuable. I mean, the data is there, all of the metrics that were shared from IMEC, that's phenomenal. Like, and that's why we started our program. Thanks to Mark Hibner, was a huge help in getting this started. GCAMP, you guys are a phenomenal resource. So I've enjoyed being a part of this conversation, but I worry moving down the line that not only do students think they have to take certain courses because they have to go to college, but there is legislation that is now telling them they have to take certain classes so that they can go to college when, my best experience personally, if I'm speaking for myself, was learning on the job. And I think that's part of what we're all talking about here with apprenticeships and work-based learning and all of those things. Like, that's really what should be required. If I were to ask my input, I would say every student should have internship work-based experience. So from industry, that's the support we could use from schools, from legislators that are making these decisions. That's the support we could use. The funding, we appreciate the funding, and we could use some support in all those other areas too. Thank you.
So could you real before we end this part of the conversation, why don't you just send me, I put Michelle's email address in the chat, just send me a quick email saying, hey, can we just start the conversation with ISB, because it's a very valid conversation, and she's head of the education committee. So she'd be the person to talk to. So if you could send a quick email, and then we'll just start the conversation.
Super, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Jones, if you could also include me on that that email. I'm with the EFE 110 because we've also had those same concerns, and we'd love to talk to more of our state reps about that. It's not an ISB issue, but it's a state legislator issue. That was the way the law was written. So ISB had nothing to do with the law.
No, but every education committee meeting and every agreement it has to be approved by ISB too. So even though there's legislation on books, the school partners are always at the table. So that's what I'm saying is just we can start the conversation with the legislators and then bring in the school partners.
I have one other thing I'd like to maybe add to the conversation, just an outside perspective. This is Matthew Sullivan from Lake Park High School. One of the things I've noticed is also one of our biggest challenges is the time frame of which we capture our students. I think one of my biggest challenges at Lake Park High School is that we have a lot of students who are interested in the program, and due to just all of the graduation requirements, not just these new ones that are getting tacked on over the past couple of years, but perpetuating the college track of generalized education is a major challenge that we're pigeonholing these kids into taking 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 4 years of PE. All those things are great for a general education route for students who are planning on going to college, but what are we doing? How is that disproportionately affecting the students that should be in our programs to develop some skills, or just learn about what this is? Maybe not even developing the skills, because I even think that in the time frame we have, 48-minute class period, maybe some teachers have 50 minutes or whatever. It's just not enough time, adequate time to really produce a highly skilled individual. Anyway, I have a lot more to add to this, but I think other people have other comments, but just some other things that could be probably tackled, providing some sort of different avenues for students to explore careers would be very helpful. And if you'd like to add me onto that email as well, I'd love to help out, not try and diminish what opportunities for our students.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. That was great conversation there. Mark, going back just a little bit, Mark Hibner, can you just touch real briefly on how do you get and keep these kids engaged? How do you, I know you guys have done some work with the junior highs. How do you get kids engaged and interested in manufacturing?
I think we put out a pretty robust marketing and promotional program where you've seen our rap videos of us teachers that makes it fun and kind of interesting and catches students' attention. But I think a big part of it is educating the counselors, because our counselors here, we'll do like a nice little breakfast for them, nice catered breakfast in the manufacturing lab to get them down there and see our facility, and then see what we're doing down there for students, and see, talk about student successes, kids that are getting on that pathway to prosperity, before they even leave high school, by getting connected with a internship and then being hired by that company afterwards. So I think it's really our responsibility as educators to educate the counselors, educate the students, educate the parents about the opportunities in manufacturing. And then once they get in the classes, man, we got to make it fun. We got to make it fun and interesting. And then we make it real world, because we bring in Kathleen, like you've come in several times, the coach students up on resume building, on getting prepared for interviews. And then also just bringing in companies that want to talk and see our students in action. They don't have to come there and present for 48, 50 minutes. They get bored by that. What they want to do is, hey, why don't you guys come in, visit us, see the kids in action, and engage in casual conversation with them. So then they see what we're teaching them in the class is relevant and real to an awesome career in manufacturing.
Great.
I think can I speak for manufacturers and how we can help? Many times we open our doors to bring in students and just give them a tour. What I think we need to look at is more work-based type experiences. We had a tour before the pandemic, and we brought the students in, and they actually had them simulate manually a part that they had to check that we do in an automated cell. And instead of just giving them a tour, we had them actually, we divided into teams. And these teams were doing different activities. We had a quality person, we had a production manager, we had a worker. And when we got done with this session, we talked about why this couldn't be done manually. The parts cannot be checked they have to be checked automatically. They have to be done in the cell. And we talked about, we related what we're doing to actually what they're going to see when they make the tour. So we need to invest a little more concentrated effort in setting up our tours so that they are meaningful and more a work-based learning type of experience than just walking them around the plant. And that interests kids. Out of that, you'll get kids more interested than, and finding out that there are more careers than just what they maybe thought were available in a manufacturing environment.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. So I'm going to wrap this up here. We've got about 8 minutes, and I have one very brief video for about 2 minutes that I'm going to show you to wrap things up. And it's a few students that are from Palatine High School are going to talk a little bit about their interest level. Mark, when you get a chance, get that queued up. But before you do, companies, manufacturers, email us if you have a position that you can fill with an intern or an apprentice and you need our help with that. Oh, we're gonna watch this.
Hello, what's your name?
I'm Kyle Kessler.
Kyle Kessler, what year of school are you?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior? Do you like this class?
I love it.
What do you plan on doing next year?
Taking a class at Harper for manufacturing.
You're gonna go into manufacturing at Harper, cool. And what are you working on right now?
I'm working on this project I got going here. I'm going to do a through hole. It's a through hole that is using an S drill. That's a 348 drill.
Okay.
For this hole and then the one next to it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Okay, what's your name?
Joseph.
Okay, what are you working on, Joseph?
Tapping block.
Tap block. Show me what. Okay, so you're working on making a tap block. Okay, so what's the first thing you're gonna do with this project?
Touch up the edges and make them finish edges, and then get it down to about 4 inches.
Okay, perfect, dude. Are you enjoying this class?
Yes.
Are you taking it next year?
Yes.
What year are you?
Junior.
Junior. All right, my man. Thanks, Joseph. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Connor.
What year in school are you?
I'm a senior here.
Okay, are you enjoying this class?
Heck yeah, I'm enjoying this class.
Awesome, awesome. So what do you plan on maybe doing this in the future?
I'm going into mechanical engineering at MSOE next year, so I might be working with machines like this, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. What are you making right now?
I'm working on a counterbore project. I'm just doing the center drills right now, making sure we get a smooth drill for the next steps in the process.
Awesome. All right, Connor, let's see ya.
All right.
All right, perfect.
There we go.
Okay, what's your name?
Antonio Sanchez.
Antonio Sanchez, what are you working on?
On the engine lathe.
Okay, you're working on the engine lathe.
Yeah.
All right. And then what part are you making right now?
Facing the piece so it's like straight and it's at like a good angle.
Okay. All right, good. Are you enjoying this class?
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite machine you've been working with?
This one.
This one, yeah. All right. And then what year are you?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, are you taking this next year?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Antonio.
Great.
You can see there right now, Antonio he's gotten to the point of building the fundamentals, and now he's making like a 3-piece that it's going to become a lightsaber. So he's totally loving it.
Great. Well, thanks, Mark. You know what? There's nothing that speaks more for what we do than watching the kids. 2 quick things. If you have space for an intern this summer, reach out and let us know. We'd be happy to connect you and get that started. Same thing with an apprenticeship. You want to start an apprenticeship program, we can help you get there. District 211 and Harper College have combined their advisory councils, and we have the next meeting that's coming up next week. So if you're interested in getting connected and staying connected with the schools and what's going on and have a say, the best programs are the ones that have industry input. So let me know. With that being said, I'm going to sign off. If anybody has any last words, Paul, Kevin, are we good?
I want to thank everybody, and we have a feedback form, right, Kevin?
Yep, there'll be a survey sent out, yep.
The survey has been in the chat box, and I will email it out to everyone. And give us a few days, and we're gonna spiff up this video, and it will be on our website as well. So you'll get a link to that when we are ready. So with that, we have
Thanks,
3
everybody.
minutes
Yep,
left,
stay
and we're
tuned
just
for
gonna
more
say
good
thank
stuff.
you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rob. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy
Thanks.
the
Bye now.
summer.